What's up, you guys? So today I'm installing the 271 Turbo Performance Downpipe, which will fit the 2022 Plus Civic and 23 Plus Integras. And this is actually an early birthday present to myself, so I'm super excited to get this done. Without further ado, let's go ahead and open up this box and get to the install. Got some brackets and some bolts here, and I think these are the new studs that we're going to be using. And we also have, ooh, this is nice, a little gift from 271. This is really well padded, which I like, so that there's no damages to the downpipe itself. There we have it. So here it is. This thing looks really sick. We got a 271 W logo here, and then we also have the brackets and the 3 studs that we'll be using later. This downpipe is 271's 80mm catted performance downpipe. It is a bolt-on and it helps reduce back pressure and increase turbo spool and horsepower gains for the 1.5 turbo engine, which is in my car, and also the 5th gen Integra. But man, this thing is pretty. The T304 stainless steel looks really clean, and then the TIG welding on here looks really great as well, which means this will make it trouble-free from leaks and it'll last for a very long time, which is good. This will also reuse the OEM heat shields, which is in here, and then I'm actually gonna have to remove my shrouds. If you don't have this, you don't have to worry about it. But anyway, let's get to the install and I'll guide you guys through it. To get started, if you have the 271 short ram intake like me, I'm just gonna remove this whole thing out just so I have enough room to work for the downpipe. I also removed the shroud here, which is really easy to take off and put back with just 3 screws. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Also, before you guys start, I would highly suggest having a magnetic tool just in case you drop anything, as well as a magnetic tray for your bolts and nuts, and just to keep it safe from, getting everywhere. And I like things organized, so these things for sure help. There we go. I have my intake out. For you guys who have the OEM intake, you're just going to have to remove 2 5.5mm sockets. So next we're going to remove 3 12mm bolts from the upper heat shield. So it's going to be 1, 2, and then 3 over here, which is on the side. So once you have those 3 bolts off, we're just going to take the shield off here, just like so. Then we're going to set these aside to use later. Then we're going to remove the O2 sensor plug, which is this one. It is the secondary O2 sensor plug. There's another one up here, but we're just going to remove this one right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and unclip this one. You're just going to press down on this clip and unclip it just like so. Once you have that unclipped, we're going to remove the 3 metal tabs that's holding the O2 sensor wire. So there's going to be 1, there's 2 right there, and then the third one is right underneath here. So how to take them out, you're just going to lightly bend the wire and get them out from there. Got the other 2 done already, but pretty much what you're going to do, lightly bending, meaning you're just going to grab from this rubber part here. We're just going to push it forward and it should unclip. And it'll get a little tedious, but you just want to make sure you stay patient and just gently bend it forward so it gets out of the bracket there. So there we go. So lightly push it out and it should unclip. So once you have those disconnected, just set it aside safely, and then we're going to remove a 10mm bolt, which is right underneath here. And let me see if I can show you guys from this angle. This 10mm bolt, which is my worst nightmare, let's go ahead and take that out. This is what it's going to look like. This is the secondary O2 bracket that we removed that wire from, and we're just going to set this aside so we can use it again later. From there, we're going to go ahead and work underneath the car. So let's go ahead and get the car jacked up. So we got the car jacked up now. We're going to take the skid plate off, and that's going to have 2 black Phillips head screws, 4 silver head screws, and also 4 flat head screws under there. I'll take it out and I'll show you guys which screws I'm talking about. So here is the skid plate. We removed 4 flat head screws like these ones, And then the two black Phillips head. They're not really black anymore because of all the salt. Look at that. And then we also have the 4 silver Phillips head as well. We're under the car. We're going to remove the 2 lower brackets that support the downpipe. So we have 4 14mm bolts that we'll remove, which is 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. I'll try and show you what it looks like. So this is one of the brackets, and then the other one is by the filter. And I'll put up a picture on the screen somewhere so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and remove those. One thing I forgot to show you guys is you also need to remove 6 push clips underneath. I'll put a picture up on the screen for you guys to see which ones those are, and this will make it so much easier for you guys to work under there. So here are the 2 brackets that we removed, and then the 4 14mm bolts on there. Next we're going to remove 3 nuts that are on the front pipe and down pipe, which is connecting them, and we'll go from there. We're going to remove these 3 nuts here, 1, 2, and 3, and we'll go from there. Once you have those nuts out, we're just going to separate the front pipe and the down pipe as much as we can. Just like that. That should be a good amount. And the front pipe will stay in place, and then we'll move on up there. Now we're up here, we're going to remove 2 14mm bolts, which is one right here. Then the other one is right there, as you can see. And then we have 2 14mm nuts, which is this one, and then the one back there. But before we remove the 2 14mm bolts and nuts,
these nuts, got him!
you want to have a penetrating catalyst, and you want to liberally put that on there so you don't break any of the studs, which will be problematic in the future. So you do not want to do that. So make sure you have one of these and put some on there. Let's go ahead and remove those bolts. So I let the PB blaster sit for a few minutes, which is what's on the directions, and then we'll go ahead and remove these. So we have the bolts right here and the nuts as well. So now we're just going to remove the downpipe from here. We're just going to exit it out from the bottom. Alright, so now we're going to take the downpipe down from the engine bay, and you want to be careful with the O2 sensor wire, since you don't want to damage any of that. And there we go. Here's a little side-by-side comparison of the two. Got the 271 downpipe, and we have the OEM, which is super chunky, but we're gonna go ahead and remove this heat shield and transfer it over to the 271 downpipe. So the first thing we're going to remove is this 12mm bolt right here, which we will not use, and then the 4 10mm bolts are the ones that we're going to reuse later. So this is 1, we got 2, and 3, and then the last one is down here, the 4th one. So we'll reuse that for the 271 downpipe. We got the heat shield off. We have the 4 10mm right here. Then we have the 1 12mm that we will not use. Then the next thing we're going to remove is this O2 sensor. To remove this O2 sensor, you'll need a 22mm open-ended wrench or an oxygen sensor socket, which I have on right now, and I'll make sure to link this down below for you guys, and it'll make your life 100% easier when it comes to taking this thing out. So we'll just go ahead and twist this out. Here's the O2 sensor. Now we're just going to get our 271 downpipe, and we're going to install it into here. So once you have it on, we're going to use the O2 sensor tool once again just to tighten it the rest of the way. So you want to tighten it, not too much, but just a tight fit, and it should be good. So now we're going to take the 10mm bolts that are on here, and then we're going to put it on the downpipe, just like this. Got one of the 10mm bolts already on. Just make sure that the OEM heat shield is lined up, and I'll show you guys the final result. Here it is. And when you're tightening these 10mm bolts, just make sure it's a snug fit. No need to over tighten it, and we'll go ahead and put the downpipe on the car. Also a reminder, there's the OEM gasket on here, so make sure that you keep that in mind and that it is aligned with the 271 downpipe. So to install the 271 downpipe, we're going to go from the bottom of the engine bay to the top, so the reverse order of how we took it out. So once you have it lined up like this, we're going to reinstall the 2 bolts and the 2 nuts that we took out from the downpipe, and we're going to torque that to 33 foot-pounds of torque. But before you do that, you want to make sure you use anti-seize compound, just so it doesn't get loosened over time due to like vibration or anything like that. So it's highly recommended to get one of these, so make sure you put some on the nuts and bolts and you should be good. So we're just going to take the bolts and nuts, we're just going to put anti-seize on the threads here. Make sure it's pretty even all around and you should be all good. And then just do it for the rest of the bolts and nuts. Then we're just going to put back the bolts here. There we go. So now we're going to put back the O2 sensor bracket, and then we're going to torque it to 80 inch-pounds of torque, but converting that to foot-pounds, that is about 6.6 foot-pound of torque. So 6.5, 6.6 should be good. Yeah, we got the O2 sensor bracket done. Now let's move on. Just going to clip back the O2 wire harness. Remember the 3 positions or locations, I'd say 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to plug it back into here. To have them on just like so, I'm just going to clip this back. You should hear a click here. There we go, and that's good. We're going to put back the upper heat shield, but only this time we're going to use 2 of the 10mm bolts, which is one here and then one here. Then we're going to torque these guys to 18 foot-pounds of torque. Now I'm just going to put back my 271 short ram intake, but if you have the OEM intake, you'll just need to put back the intake tube that goes here, and you should be all good. There's the intake, everything's set. O2 sensor is also on here, so let's move on to the bottom of the downpipe. Here are the new studs that we're going to attach to the downpipe. Before we put these on, make sure you put anti-seize on them. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the side that has less threads to screw it onto the downpipe. And then the one with more is where the bolts will go. Go ahead and put anti-seize on these studs here. The studs are going to go into the holes where the front pipe also has them. So it's going to be 1, 2, and 3, and it'll be the same on the downpipe as well. So once you have those lined up, we're going to get the 15mm socket bolts here, and we're going to go ahead and put them on, and then we're going to torque it to 40 foot-pounds of torque, and we should go from there. Once you have that done, we're going to go ahead and put back the brackets, and this is going to be the driver's side and also the passenger side, and we're going to torque that down to 33 foot-pounds of torque, and I'll show you guys the final product. So there we go, we got the brackets down and torqued to spec. Now all you need to do is put back the skid plate that we took off, as well as the plastic part that we took off, and you should be all set to go. Alright, so right off the bat, what I notice is that it is quite loud in here. Compared to how it used to be, it's a little bit louder, and droning is to be expected to increase, which is normal, but it sounds great, honestly. And I'm going to show you guys a clip of a little run I did after this talk I'm going to do, and it for sure crackles, as you heard, more, and the car feels great, man. I mean, based off of like just the first few minutes of driving the car, it is for sure way more responsive, and it sounds even better than it used to. But this is kind of like a good balance between loud and comfort. I'd say droning level is still a good amount, especially when I'm cruising right now. It's not that loud. My window's a little bit open, but fourth, fifth through sixth gear, there's not really a problem. It's the downshifting that gets pretty loud, but I like it though. It's not bad. But one of the most important things too is that it hasn't thrown a CEL yet. So I think I will save that for another video for when it actually pops up. I don't know if it's ever going to pop up, but right now it runs fine and there's nothing wrong with the car. There's no codes or anything popping up. But enough of me talking. Here's a little bit of a run I did, and I'll see you guys after that. So as you saw, the car sounds pretty rowdy, but it hasn't really thrown any codes yet, and when it does, like I said earlier, I will make a video on how to do that and guide you guys on that. But man, this downpipe sounds really nice, and it for sure made the front pipe back exhaust system louder from 271, but not insanely loud, just the right amount, which I like. The driving experience inside isn't bad either, and the droning didn't really increase drastically, and it is still manageable. As for gains in performance, this 200 cell catted downpipe from 271 has this type of increase when it comes to horsepower compared to the OEM catted downpipe without a tune. Now with my tune, I'm not too sure how much of a difference it is, unfortunately, but according to 271, this has an effect on the entire RPM power band, and the difference in power is there for sure. The car feels like it breathes better, and with the high flow 200 cell metallic foil converter, that'll help with any unwanted smells, and it'll clean the exhaust gases coming out of the car. Overall, I love how the car sounds even more now, and the efficiency and responsiveness of the turbocharger is much better. I'm trying to make this car breathe much better, and this is a start. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Big shout out to 271 for the fast shipping and the wonderful service as always. I'll make sure to link everything down below for you guys. And yeah, stay tuned for more, and as always, drive safe and stay safe out there, you guys. I'll catch you on the next one.